All right, ladies and gentlemen, time for more Sakamoto days. Onwards to the 213th chapter. Let's see where Sakamoto and company lie after Shin. Well, you know what? It's probably best if you see my face while I'm saying all of this. Yo, peoples! Qushu 92 here. Welcome back to more Sakamoto days. Last we left out on, we had Shin and company dealing with the fact that Sakamoto is still sort of traumatized over the mere thought of him almost losing his wife. That he isn't exactly back at 100%. So everyone else is pulling together Hard-Boiled, Heisuke, Kindaka. Everyone else is pulling together their strengths and just their overall strengths and capabilities to try and rid as many civilians of their guns as possible, as we see more and more civilians finding very petty reasons to use their guns, while Sakamoto and his team are trying to get as many of them from civilians as they can, but it's not going as smoothly until Shin discovers that, oh, wait, I can hijack multiple people at once? Alright, let me go see the old Mr. guy and see if he can augment my ESP so I can affect a whole multitude of people at the same time. Killer Bean and Holster, it's good to see the both of you. I hope your day has been well. Now, we only got the Sakamoto Days chapter today because One Piece is currently on break. So we got, Sakamoto Days, and then I'm reacting to the newest episode of One Piece. I cannot wait for this new episode of One Piece. But let's go ahead and get to the chapter, shall we? Chapter 213, Resistance. And here we have a double spread panel for the cover of Sakamoto Days where it shows the old order. Hio, Nagumo, Hio, Nagumo, Shishiba, Misosaragi, and Sakamoto, and Old Man Takamura. The old order back then. Days 213, Resistance. And this is picking up right when Shin was on top of a radio tower, attempting to broadcast his ability out to hundreds, if not thousands of people. So let's see, and the last thing he says was, point it at the ground and let it rip! Where he was trying to tell everyone to point their guns towards the ground. And we see, the sound effect lines, like the streaks, as it looks like it shows multiple civilians, and then it shows one person, cocking their gun, and they all start shooting their guns towards the ground. Bruh, it worked. He made all these people use up all of their bullets. He made all of these people unload all 3 of their bullets directly into the ground, and it was a whole crowd of people. It works! But, remember what I said about potential drawbacks, though. What? Why did I? There was a voice in my head telling point it at the ground and let her rip. Yeah. And it shows numerous people sitting at a bench, what appears to be maybe a subway car as well, and they apparently shot through the floor of the subway, using up all of their bullets. And it shows even more civilians standing around wondering what that voice was, while they all have bullet holes in the ground of all of the rounds that they have. So they basically use it up. And then the Mister is all like, heck yeah, it totally worked! And then it shows Shin as his nose immediately starts bleeding and he's in a cold sweat. Yeah. Hey, are you okay? You don't look so good. Also, Kashima is helping out as well, because what Uzuki is doing is not the justice that Kashima was seeking. So he's helping Shin and the old guy. I'm fine. More importantly, how many people did I reach? Oh, I'd say at least everyone in this district. That's plenty. And even though he's bleeding from the nose, he just wipes it and is smiling. And then Shin jumps off the building and goes, no time to rest! Next district! Then it shows a panel of Shin when he was a kid, when he first met the guy, the scientist dude, going, that little squirt sure grew up. And then Kashima goes, truly, from the enemy's point of view, his existence is extremely challenging. Look at you acting all big. And then we cut to an agent at the JAA going, Master X, the citizens' gun usage rates are suddenly skyrocketing abnormally. What? Someone seems to be controlling them and forcing them to discharge their bullets. And then Uzuki just standing there, thinking, he's getting in my way again. That Sakamoto. Blast away at the ground! And then it cuts to Shin at another district as he's making people unload their guns again. So he went to a whole nother district. What? What am I doing? What's going on? I don't get it! Alright, the Nerima area is done. Nerima area. I want to say Nerima. Alright, the Nerima area is done. And it cuts to Shin, who's no longer bleeding from the nose, and he's already ready to go to the next spot. Even Kendaka, Boiled, and Heisuke are shocked, going, Dude, you're amazing, Shin! How does that work? How does this work? We're using radio waves to broadcast my ESP or something like that. I'm not sure. Radio waves? What if we used a taller radio tower? I wonder if you could reach all of Japan. For example? The Sky Tower! The same tower that we were at a couple of arcs ago, where, what's his name? Apart. His name was Apart. When Apart was fighting Sakamoto, you know, the prison inmates that were let loose in the world. That's where they were fighting. And also the same tower that Old Man Takamoto sliced through while they were doing all that fighting. The Sky Tower! What? And then Kashima goes, It's worth a shot. It'll take a bit of prep. Theoretically, it's possible, but there's no telling what an act of that scale might do to your brain. No, I'm doing this. Wait, listen to me. Mister, I've been thinking. I think our ESP was meant for a day like today. And then the dude is looking shocked to hear Shin think this. And now Boyle is going, Now that's hard-boiled. And Shin and company get prepared to go into the Sky Tower, and they're rushing past, apparently, JAA agents who are already at the tower. Wait up, you! Stop or we'll shoot! Why is the JAA here? I'll take care of them. You go on ahead. And then it cuts to everyone at the making their way towards the top of the tower. And even Heisuke is intimidated by just how high this tower is. Yikes. We're high up. Well, we're hijacking the radio waves of the entire nation. Let's go. There's no time to waste. But then Shin apparently senses something because there's a fighter jet. Huh? There's a fighter jet that just crashes into the tower. Also, props. Okay, I bring this up all the time. There's a lot of panels in Sakamoto Days where the detail of a panel is so incredibly detailed that I wonder how long it takes to make a chapter look like this. You see the plane, crashing into the tower. You see the individual pieces that are breaking off from the plane, plus the individual pieces that are breaking from the tower from said collision. There is so much detail, and mind you, this is a spread of just 3 panels across 2 pages. This is a very detailed panel of the plane crashing into the tower. I will not make any plane crashing into tower jokes. I will not. But it's just right there in front of Shin, and it just crashes into the tower. And the tower starts to fall down, and it lands within the river next to the building. And while Shin is climbing, he's trying to hold on. We see Boiled has been hit by some debris, and he's kind of buried in it. The old guy and Kashima, they're buried as well, as he's going, Guys! And while he's looking up, Uzuki is right there in front of him. He's just right there. Was he in the plane or was he riding on top of it? How did he get there so fast? But he's literally looking down on Shin while Shin is trying to hold on. X. You're starting to remind me of Sakamoto, Shin. There's a river below. It's all or nothing. And then Shin breaks a support. He breaks a support in order to make the both of them fall. And while they're falling, and Shin is trying to get away from him, all of a sudden, the same whip that Uzuki likes to use, it wraps around Shin as he goes, "You're not getting away," and proceeds to not only yank Shin back, but also manage to... What is with these superhuman feats? They were just falling, and now he whips Shin with enough force to launch him into the visiting area at the bottom, like near the underneath where they were, and then launches Shin inside. What sort of strength? And as soon as Shin lands, he already has a gun to his face. So, like, the things that people do in this series, mind you, I read series where people are capable of raising the dead, creating shadow soldiers out of literally nothing, overpowering the will of other people, devil fruit powers that can transcend all aspects of reality, and even reading Dragon Ball and One Punch Man where someone can punch so hard they could literally destroy the entire planet if they wanted to, or sneeze hard enough to reveal the core of Jupiter. And I'm just like looking at the things they're doing in Sakamoto Days as if like, that should not be possible. I don't know how that works. Of all the manga I read, why is it the things in Sakamoto Days that just seems so ridiculous compared to everything else that I've read? But he launches Shin inside of the visiting area, the viewing area, and before Shin can get up completely, he already has a gun to his head. These guns are the manifestation of my vendetta against society. Don't get in my way. And then Shin is going, I'm exhausted from using so much ESP, and I can't really move my body anymore. So long, Shin. Now what? And then, all of a sudden, Uzuki tries to click the gun, tries to fire the gun, but all we get is a click. And they're both surprised to find that the gun doesn't work at all. Because it cuts to Natsuki, who has disabled the guns! Because we got Natsuki, Kaji, Totamaru, Amane, Mafuyu. They're all, and it's going across all of Japan where Natsuki has disabled the guns. They won't work anymore. They won't work anymore. They won't work anymore. And then we get the citizens. It's done. It's done. It's done. But the citizens are going, it won't shoot. Go on, shoot me, worm. And then other people are using their guns and they're not finding that it's locked up. Is it busted? And others, like, we're seeing the perspective of other citizens who are ready to use guns. And mind you, the looks on the faces of some of these people, no emotion. You see, you realize that when you... We'll talk about this when I get done, because the looks on the people's faces when they're trying to use these guns, it's almost as if them shooting these guns is such a normal thing for them. Even though they got 3 bullets, they're just looking so haphazard and nonchalant, like, it won't shoot. Like, this dude has a person by the scruff of their neck, gun pointed in their face, preparing to shoot him for probably a very mundane reason. It's locked up. Is it busted? This is why public policy sucks. And then Totamaru goes, holy crap, what did you just do? And then Natsuki goes, I traced and hacked into the gun's icy chips and designated every gun in Japan as expended. You can do that? No, it shouldn't be possible. No, it shouldn't be possible. Unless the signal transmission hub was destroyed. Like if the Sky Tower collapsed? No way! There might be other idiots out there fighting too. It jammed? Lucky. Wow. Uzuki? I think Uzuki's a bit of an idiot. If he sent that plane to stop Shin from trying to transmit his ESP across all of Japan, by destroying the tower, he destroyed the only way for the guns to work! Cole, you stupid. Oh, how did you not factor this in? By destroying the Sky Tower, which apparently was the signal hub where the guns could transmit. Wow. Okay, so I'm reading back over what Natsuki just said. So it shouldn't be possible for him to trace and hack into the gun's IC chips. But since Uzuki apparently sending a plane there to intercept Shin and company, it basically destroyed the signal transmissions hub that made it so that Natsuki couldn't be able to send the signal to the guns. Because the signal hub's been destroyed, that allows him to take control of the guns, turn them all into expended, and thus render every gun in Japan just inoperable now. Because of Uzuki. You know, with the benefit of foresight, he would have been able to maybe not blow up the place, maybe not destroy the hub where he wanted people to gun each other down for the betterment of society. We're not even done with the chapter, though. Unless the signal's transmission hub was destroyed.
Like if the Sky Tower collapsed?
No way. And then Natsuki smiling. There might be other idiots out there fighting, too. And then back to Shin.
It jammed? Lucky.
And Uzuki just looks at his gun and just tosses it to the ground as he picks up his sword and goes, doing it by hand's better anyway. And he just lets out a breath and just like, well, guess I'm just gonna have to kill you with my hands. And that's the end of the chapter. That's the end of 213. All right, let me go back to what you guys have been saying, because you guys have been saying a whole bunch. Ducky, good to see you. Let's see. Suzuki is doing pretty good at referencing the prisoner arc as it's about to play in the anime. Ooh, nice. Bro immediately blaming Sakamoto. Exactly. Let's see. I don't remember the other reference he did, but if this is the same tower from that arc so long ago, it's pretty neat. Yeah, I believe this is the same Sky Tower where Apart was fighting Sakamoto and Shin back then. This was way back when. This was a while back. Remember Apart? You know, the inmate that liked to, you know, he had like heavy levels of OCD, going as far as, one, killing a person because they were missing a volume of a manga series that they had in their home, going out to buy said missing volume, and then bring it back to the house after, you know, literally cutting the person apart and arranging their body in symmetrical pieces across their floor. This is the same Apart that was at the Sky Tower so long ago. So I will say this. Whoever does the danger crew and damage control for collateral damage within Japan, they must be getting paid a whole lot, because it doesn't even look like there was a fight taking place there. But in one of my physical mangas, Suzuki says if their team is really inspired, they can get a chapter done in like a day. Suzuki is amazing. Look, everyone involved with the art. Everyone involved with the art. Is this like the second time now this tower can't catch a break? No, it can't. It already had, one, it had Apart and Sakamoto fighting through it, wrecking the elevators and all sorts of things, and wrecking the floors and glass buildings everywhere. And then Old Man Takamoto just straight up slicing through the tower itself in order to keep it from falling over because of Apart. And Sakamoto was basically holding on to the cables to keep it from falling. Very, very, very outlandish display of strength there. And now we have an entire fighter jet, like an F-16, just flying through it. Or what is it? What is the Lockheed Raptor? Which model was that? F-22 or F-21? I forget the exact model, but it was a fighter jet just crashing into the tower. Like you said, this tower can't catch a break. I doubt that's the same whip. Looks totally different. Well, it's the same type of weapon he likes to use. It's a bladed whip. But I don't think it's, it might be. I think it's the same one, though. See, I looked at it, and it looked the same to me. It It's tricky to tell when the blade is in motion and you don't see the edges because there's blur lines going across it, so it kind of obscures if it's truly the bladed whip that he's always using or not, but I think it is. I think it's the same. You can see the bladed sections. It does feel very One Punch Man, late Fire Force manga-esque in ridiculousness. It does. Natsuki team for the win. See? But my thing is, if Uzuki played himself. Oh yeah, I forgot about Natsuki. It feels like it's been a while. Didn't I just bring up that if we're cutting to Shin and everyone else, then it's high time that we cut to Natsuki and everyone else as well? And we got that. With Uzuki crashing the jet into the tower to stop Shin from telling the entire nation of Japan to unload all of their guns so that they can't use it, he pretty much opened up the pathway for Natsuki to basically disable them. So either way, he would have lost. However, we saw that with Shin basically directing everyone in an entire district, and he was left with a bloody nose, but it appears that he got used to it. Who knows what sort of side effects he would have suffered if he tried to tell an entire nation with his ESP to just stop using their guns. Imagine the backlash of telling these thousands, if not millions of people across an entire nation, unload all your guns, and just the feedback to it. Imagine. So, but either way, it wouldn't have gone well for Uzuki, because if he didn't destroy the tower, Shin would have stopped everyone with his ESP. Him destroying the tower allowed Natsuki to intervene with his own hacking, because the tower was the signal hub that allowed these guns to operate. And now Uzuki's mad. Now he upset. Congratulations, you played yourself, literally. I'm surprised he went after Shin himself. Well, if you want something done right, he's got that kind of mentality when you think about it. But the Joker moved fast, though. Was he waiting on a tower, or was he in the jet? Also, what happened to the jet? You can't tell me a jet flying at a high speed didn't just cleanly go through the tower and it didn't land somewhere. Hopefully Nagumo can return to the story sometime soon. I miss my goat. Ducky? We haven't seen Nagumo since... We haven't seen Nagumo since he was posing right next to Shishiba. When he was impersonating a JAA agent directly next to Shishiba, at least like, 3 chapters ago? I want to say 3, maybe 4 chapters ago. We haven't seen Nagumo at all. Still doesn't change the fact that he played himself, though. To be fair, I don't think he even knows about Natsuki's efforts. No, it's not a matter. It's just that from a narrative standpoint, yo, what's going on? No One Piece? No, it's on break. It went on break. I put it in the community I put in the community post that we didn't have a chapter, and that was something I addressed the last time we had a One Piece chapter as well. So no, we went off break to a new chapter of One Piece, and then we've gone on break again. Before the Sakamoto personality, I would say he was more reserved about getting his hands dirty. Exactly. Uzuki, as we know it, was way more okay with handling matters without, bloodying his hands. But ever since he started to compile more and more personalities in his head, his reservations that we saw him start out with has started to fade. And I believe it's because of the people that have been around him. And of course, his brother always being a thorn in his side and threatening the lives of his friends back then as well. So now, I won't say that he's past the point of no return, but he used to be more calm and collected about things. Oh wait, they got more Sakamoto story? No. You heard Sakamoto, and you immediately thought, hey, we got more Sakamoto? No, we're talking about the different aspects of his personality and how Uzuki has changed ever since he's gained more personalities as well. Oh, I think Nagumo is going to return in a big way. He's a master of disguise. He's a character where you can have him pop up anywhere and you could buy it. See, here's the thing, though. I honestly thought that Aoi in the shop was Nagumo posing as her. But it turns out that was actually her, so Nagumo is currently unaccounted for, save for the time he was sitting right next to Shishiba, and Shishiba didn't even know it. So, but this is where we're at right now. The guns have been disabled. So, the whole matter with the guns basically introducing a world of chaos and disorder, a nation of chaos and disorder. Feels like something's there in my face. Is that a bump? I think it is. I'll worry about it later. The whole era of chaos and disorder that Uzuki wanted to introduce by getting people to get guns in their hands and do whatever they want. Let's see. Right, you think you know me, Qushu? You can be a bit predictable sometimes. Sometimes. But not all the time. I'm not going to assume that I know exactly how you think, though, but you know how we operate here. My guess is Kendako or Sakamoto comes to the rescue, or Shin actually meets his end. I know some people would like for Shin to die because apparently Shin having ESP that has been working out just fine just seems to be like a something that Suzuki just pulled out of his behind. It's all like, oh, it's just Shin's instant win card. Oh, he can do this. Oh, he can do that. It's no writing skill or whatever. And I'm like, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. People be getting deep with Shin and his ESP and seeing that he has more tricks up his sleeves and up his repertoire, and they're thinking like, why does he always have these instant win cards? It's not instant wins. There are drawbacks to him having all this power, and he's not just using it without cooldown either. He's not there. People want Shin to die. I like that knucklehead kid. I like Shin too, so I don't understand where people are coming from when they say like, oh, I don't mind it that Aoi was a real Aoi. I don't understand where people get it where it's like, oh, Shin has ESP, so that makes him an instant win button. Completely forgetting how close he's been to death every single time he gets a new power or gets a new ability or he's suffering some debilitating drawbacks. Dude almost died because a plane crashed into this tower. Man, for all I care, 10Q can come and save Shin. Wouldn't that be crazy if 10Q just shows up and he's still just as deadly despite missing his primary bow fingers after Shin just cut it off and cut his eye as well? But here's where we stand with the Sakamoto Day story. Sakamoto is, he still needs to get back to his old self that he was before because he's still suffering, trauma. But everyone else, they can kind of breathe easier, seeing as how the guns no longer work. Now, mind you, they don't know that the guns don't work all across Japan. For all they know, they don't know that, but they know that the gun doesn't work that Uzuki was trying to use, so maybe it'll give them a rough idea like, hey, the guns don't work anymore, and possibly seeing the civilians react to this as well, so that could be a good indicator. Uzuki has no idea that someone as smart as Natsuki is over at the JCC, and he was working against them as well. See, this is the reason why, if you're going to be a smart villain, have people posted everywhere, so even the school itself doesn't have a way of, combating against you. Uzuki's issue is that he only saw the physical assassins that he's faced before as an actual issue. He didn't think that the students at JCC would be able to infiltrate his system, learn, and the thing is, Natsuki is a genius that we've seen. We learned how much of a genius Natsuki is. We've learned so much of how much of a genius Natsuki is, and you would think that Uzuki would be aware of some potentials at JCC and maybe keep tabs on them at the school, on the off chance that Sakamoto would request their help if things were to go awry. Uzuki's first mistake was thinking that only the people that were in the vicinity of the JAA on the mainland of Japan were the issue. They were the problem. They were the ones you had to watch out for. No, you got to watch out for the students. We didn't have an entire arc centered around these guys for them not to be important. And Uzuki's failure is him not accounting for everyone. He only accounted for the people that were close to him. Oh yeah, we didn't see Heisuke or Kashima under the rubble. No, Kashima is under the rubble. He is directly next to the old dude, whose name still escapes me. But yeah, Kashima's there. Old dude's there, Hard-Boiled is there, but it doesn't show Actually, Heisuke is on the tower with all of them. And we even see him as the tower gets obliterated by this plane. But we don't see Heisuke buried under the rubble. We just see Boiled, Kashima, and I think his name is Takeru. I think his name was Mr. Takeru. Oh yeah, we didn't see Heisuke or Kashima under the rubble. I'm so glad Natsuki is an ally, even if it's an unintentional one. Can you imagine having a genius against you who can make all sorts of different things that he still sees as like, it's not good enough, it's a failure. But he's a genius inventor. He's a genius inventor. He's incredibly smart, and he just wants to chill in the workshop, making weapons and different gadgets. He strikes me as the type of person who doesn't want to graduate because he just wants to chill and make stuff. Kendaka isn't there. Kendaka wasn't, because if I go back, all I see is Old Man Takeru. Kendaka stayed behind on the lower floor to take care of the JA agents that were chasing after them. So I'm pretty sure at least about 10 seconds later, he already taken care of them. But we just see Heisuke, Boiled, Old Man Takeru, and Shin climbing the tower. Kendaka stayed behind to take care of the JA agents. Let's see, I'm so glad, because I love the fact that he and Sakamoto's team had the same exact idea, but different approaches, not knowing about each other at all. Let's see, oh yeah, Kendaka versus Uzuki would go hard. It would be interesting. Let's see. Don't attack me all. But my coworker mentioned Slur. Who is it? Just to get confirmation for you, is he the one who took out Takamura? Yes, Slur is the name. Dr. Asakura. Thank you. Was it Takaru or was it Asakura? But thank you, Killer Bean. Thank you. I didn't look it up lately, so I was thinking like the old old guy, or the person that's with Shin. You find that I do that sometimes when I don't see that person for a very long time or see their name. I tend to forget it. But Slur is the name given to Uzuki along with X. That is Uzuki. That's basically his name. Slur or X, that is literally his name given to him by the JAA. But yeah, when I say Uzuki, I'm also referring to X and Slur. That those are all his name. So yeah, that's who it is. And Uzuki was in fact the one who took out Takamura because he basically copied Takamura's entire personality and then cut him down. Yeah, it's an alias. Okay, thanks, I wanted to make sure. Yeah, Slur and X is an alias for Uzuki. That's his alias that he goes by, that everyone knows him by. Yeah, too long didn't read. Slur and X is the alias he goes by. So yeah, but he was the one who took out Takamura. But now we're in a situation where him hoping that people would just gun each other down in order to, force upon this society based on him being in his feelings. Yeah, that's done now. The threat of Japan gunning each other down, because we already lost 350-something thousand people. Because I was telling my coworker about him because he's watching the anime. He loved it. Knowing Suzuki, he's probably going to cut away from Shin. I would not be surprised if we cut away from Shin. I would not be surprised. Because with Uzuki saying like it's better to do this with my hands anyway, it's better to kill you with my hands rather than a gun, and he already has a sword, either someone's going to come in and save him, or we are cutting to a different location altogether. Remember, we still got Osaragi, Shishiba, and Kamihate still out there because Osaragi, through the power of electrical resuscitation, and here's my thing about Osaragi that just terrifies me. She was cut down by Uzuki, still alive, mind you, and it took her body being electrocuted because of that one dude that sides with Uzuki for her to literally get up, grab Shishiba and Kamihate, and bolt out of the building, holding the both of these men. She literally got sliced across her shoulder and across her back. And it took one Zephyr to get up and say, like, all right, second win, and then she just booked it. So they're gone still. They're out there somewhere. Still wondering if I'm still wondering. This is just me. I'm still wondering if we are going to get them joining with Sakamoto and his team at some point. But mind you, this is something that can be handled a little bit later on. But where we're at right now, as I bring this to a close, because I got a One Piece episode to react to, where we're at right now is the guns have been disabled. That's almost guaranteed that or go into some sort of flashback of sorts, and that was while not letting go of her saw even while unconscious. Yeah, her grip strength, even while unconscious, still couldn't tear that from her hands. And she slammed it into the dude straight through a solid pillar. I have no idea what the timeline is right now compared to when Akira attacked Slur. That was day 3. Day 3. I don't think that much time has passed since then. I think maybe a day or two. Not even that, maybe? All of this is because we haven't seen it turn night at all. We've still seen everything happen during the day. Everything. So all of this could be happening within the span of basically 4 days. Or a day after Akira tried to attack Uzuki. Because it hasn't been nighttime or even evening at all. It's just been daytime. So all of this could be happening in a very small time frame, but this has been stretched out like, what, months? I want to say like a month or so, like 2 months already. But it's all just happening within a couple of days. It hasn't even been a week. So much happening. But the guns are disabled, and now Uzuki doesn't have a way of making it so that the civilians get to exercise their right to bear arms viciously anymore, because Sakamoto and company still keep getting in his way. So I feel like we're going to be entering into the phase where Uzuki just wants to get rid of them altogether, because they basically ruined his plan of introducing a lawless, chaotic nation of Japan. Mind you, Uzuki and his people still have control of basically the infrastructure of the entire nation, so that's something that still needs to be taken care of. You know, the financial system taken care of, the digital system, the network, everything that belongs to Japan and its people, and including the prime minister, that's all still under Uzuki's control. The only thing he's lost is people gunning each other down in the streets. That's the only thing he's lost. His team still has control of basically every other facet of facilities for Japan. So that's something that still needs to be resolved as well. We still need a confrontation between Uzuki and his entire crew, with Sakamoto and his entire crew, including old members of the Order going up against new members of the Order, before we reach a conclusion. Now, since the gun situation is done, I don't think Uzuki has a contingency plan just in case connections to the guns were turned off anyway. I think he was really counting on the guns being the surefire way for people to exercise their right to murder as the big key here. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thrown his gun to the floor and said, like, yeah, it's better just to use your hands to kill someone anyway. So, I don't think he thought of a real contingency plan. Because if it happened, wouldn't you think you would hear a gunshot still go off in the distance to signify, oh no, it's still not working. Oh, everything we've done is still not working because he planned for this. So no, I think the whole threat of the gun crisis, let's call it the civilian gun crisis, I think that's over and done with. So now we got to deal with Uzuki and his team. Oh, Uzuki is going to start having a mental breakdown soon. I can see it. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rion personality starts to clash with all the other personalities within Uzuki. Because remember, everything that Uzuki is doing was an affront to what the Rion personality would have wanted. There was a reason why his hand almost stabbed his own neck. Because the Rion personality was not having it at all. So you already know the Rion personality is probably relieved that the whole gun thing is over and done with. But still, I feel like we're going to be entering into, I want to say, the final phase of what's happening here soon, due to the fact that since the gun matter is done and over with, we still got the Order and Uzuki's team to deal with. And I think that's it. There really hasn't been any other major developments or major threats to civilian life or the lives of Sakamoto other than the gun crisis, and that's pretty much done now. So we just got Uzuki and his team and the Order. Those are the only people that stand in the way of Japan going back to normalcy. So that's the only thing we got left. Once that's done, are we done with Sakamoto days? We'll talk about this later. But that's where we stand with the story as a whole. And things are getting quite interesting. But with Kashima, Old Man, Dr. Asakura down, and even Boiled down, the only person that's left that could possibly still be in the vicinity is Heisuke, and Kendaka's still downstairs. So I wonder if he can get upstairs fast enough in order to help Heisuke out with Uzuki. And if he starts taking on the Takamura personality, they really need to be on the defensive because, I mean, Takamura is the most overpowered person in all of Sakamoto days, even above Sakamoto himself. So if the Takamura personality starts, acting up, getting beside themselves, they need to clear out before they wind up getting diced to pieces. But we'll see where things go next week because Uzuki almost making a big mistake leaving Oki unattended. That guy is going to be plotting. Oki, I feel like I won't call him an opportunist, but I feel like he really he said it himself, I love killing. I love the power that comes with killing. Assassinations, both in person and from far away. He likes killing the same way the Major from Hellsing Ultimate loves war. Oki loves killing the same way the Major loves war. My friends, it has been said that I like war. No, my friends, I like war. No, I love war. It's literally like that for Oki. But he is someone to watch, though. Because we don't know who he is beneath just the words he says. I feel like he's the type that if given the chance, he would do whatever is necessary to further his own agenda. Because we don't know too much about Oki. We just know he's the leader of the Order. And him just saying, I love everything about killing and assassination. That's it, though. But we don't know too much about Oki. Which makes him dangerous. Because we don't even know his fullest capabilities. And had it not been for Kendaka coming in and saving Shishiba, we would have lost Shishiba to Oki. So he's definitely someone to watch out for. And that goes for the rest of the Order as well. At least the ones that have fully sided with Oki. But I feel like I feel like the most two dangerous people out of the last groups that we got to deal with is Uzuki and Oki. Everyone else, we've seen what they're capable of. Tanabata, Torres, everyone. Even the new guy with his electric finger claws. I mean, I wouldn't say that he's on the same level of dangerous as Oki and Uzuki, but still. Not going to be surprised if he backstabs Uzuki or tries to kill him if Uzuki is in a compromising situation. He's so unpredictable, it scares me, but I love it. Yeah, that's the thing about Oki. He hasn't said enough for us to fully understand him. He said some things, but not enough for us to be like, okay, I understand this character. No, he's enigmatic in the way that he speaks. So I feel like Uzuki and Oki are the two most dangerous people on the opposing side. Everyone else just falls in line with everyone. We already know enough about the people that side with Uzuki from Alkmaar. We already know about them. And we already know about the other people on the Order as well. Though not enough about Tanabata, though, with his sound wave capabilities. Not too much about him, but I feel like Oki and Uzuki are the most dangerous people that we got to contend with. And Sakamoto needs to be on the top of his game if he winds up facing against Uzuki, who will probably be using the Takamura personality, which means Sakamoto needs to get to a level where he can surpass even Takamura himself. But That'll be something we discuss in the next chapter, because we're not going on break from this. We're getting another chapter next week. And the thing that makes next week so significant is that will, one, not only be the final week of May, but it will also be the week before the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. So it's going to be a good Sunday knowing that week is going to follow into June. So it's going to be fun. But thanks for the conversation, everybody. I got to get started with One Piece. This was a good chapter. Glad that the gun crisis is over, but now we got to concern ourselves with Uzuki resorting to hands-on measures in order to contend with Sakamoto and his team again, because he's pretty much fed up with Sakamoto and his team interfering. So we'll see next week. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate all the support you show, whether you're here just viewing, you're commenting and talking, and we're having these long discussions, because I really do enjoy these discussions with you. That's how we meet together when it comes to our ideas of stories, not just with this, but with other ones as well. I enjoy reading to you guys, and I enjoy discussing these chapters with all of you. That's the reason why some of these reactions last so long. But this is where we're going to have to part ways for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. From my moderators to my members to super chatters and anything else, I just want to say thank you. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples!